Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, stories from the 78 from the Avondale neighborhood. Walking down a nondescript street because a photographer lives on the street, Paul Natkin. You have seen his work, I promise you. He's taken some of the most historic concert photos of all time. He has toured with the Stones and Keith Richards and done stuff with Buddy Guy and everything in between. Bruce Springsteen, he's on the cover of Newsweek. Well, he lives in Avondale and he's from Chicago and he loves Chicago and he got to start by shooting pictures at Bulls games. I'm talking to him now for this story from the 78 from his home office here in the Avondale neighborhood. So take a look right there. Some of the famous photographs Paul's taken over the course of his career. And I have him right here in his home studio. Paul, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm great. I'm in a home of a Chicago icon as far as I'm concerned, of the career that you've had and the stories that you've told. You even have one of your books right behind you there that you've written some of those stories down in. But a long career in Chicago, concert series, photography, but I'll let you tell some of it.
Oh, the long career just means that I'm old. Been doing it for over 45 years.
And are you now, you've taken a step back from covering the day-to-day shows, right? You more do projects as they come and as you like?
The business has changed. It's not about doing good work. It's about doing free work. And it's really hard to support my extravagant lifestyle working for free.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody with a phone nowadays can take a photo and post it somewhere.
Bands would rather have their friends take pictures with their phones. And they don't understand that there's a difference in quality and that it really does matter.
Sure. I mean, the quality and the talent also. I mean, you have to have a good eye for it. And just behind you, there are some iconic photos of iconic singers. You know, I mean, I'm looking at Prince. So Willie Nelson, James Brown back there. I mean, I think folks don't really quite understand perhaps the career that you've had as far as the industry. Why don't you explain like how you got started and like what you were doing? Because I know you got this idea of doing this from your father, right? Your father did stuff for the Bulls back in the day.
Yeah, let me start out by saying this. There was a photographer in the early 20th century, French guy, his name was Henri Cartier-Bresson. Mm-hmm. And he had a theory called the decisive moment, which was, his theory was that in any event, there's one moment that's the decisive moment, mm-hmm. and a good photographer has to capture that. Got to get the right exposure, you got to get the right moment where everything works perfectly. That's the difference between a photographer and a guy that just owns a camera. Mm-hmm. So that's always been my theory. But my father was a photographer. When I was growing up, I used to see pictures around the house, and I never really thought much of it. And in the early 70s, middle 70s, he got a job, he got a client. It was this team called the Chicago Bulls. Mm-hmm. And they were pretty terrible in those days.
Sure.
It was way before Michael Jordan. They actually made the playoffs every year, but pretty much everybody made the playoffs in those days. They'd always lose in the playoffs. So he went and shot a game, and he came home that night, and I was maybe 22, mm-hmm. and I was sitting on my parents' couch watching TV, being a total bum, mm-hmm. having no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Not a clue. I dropped out of college. I was only in college to stay out of the draft, so I wouldn't have to go to Vietnam. Mm-hmm. As soon as I wasn't eligible for the draft anymore, I quit. And I was sponging off my parents. And my father came home, and I said, "So how was it?" And he told me 4 things. These are the principles that I live by. Number 1, free parking. Mm-hmm. Number 2, get into the game for free.
Yeah, all good things.
Number 3, free hot meal in the press box. And then number 4, best seats in the house. Because to shoot pictures of a Bulls game, you have to be right out on the court.
Yeah, sure.
You have to be right on the outside of the end line under the basket. So I had never picked up a camera in my life.
Never.
Never. Had never had any interest in it whatsoever. And I said to him, well, okay, you got to take me to the next game. So he arranged for a pass for me. And we got in the car to drive down to the old Chicago Stadium. Mm-hmm. And on the way down there, he had me take a camera out of the case and hold it in my lap. And every time we hit a stoplight, he would show me something else on the camera. Mm-hmm. Like, this does this does that, this is how you focus. And he taught me photography in the car on the way down to a Bulls game.
What neighborhood are you driving from?
I grew up in West Rogers Park.
Okay, all right.
California and Devon.
So you had a little bit of a drive.
Yeah, it was a long enough drive that he was able to teach me the basics of what the camera did. So we get there, park for free, get in the game for free, go up and have the free hot meal, and we go out on the court. And the Bulls are warming up, and the ball kept on bouncing toward me, and I would pass back to these guys. I had no idea who they were. All I knew was that the shortest guy on the court was a foot taller than me. And all of a sudden, I was participating in their practice. You know, like rebounding for them, basically.
Sure.
And then the game started, and I started learning the hard way how to anticipate when people would do things.
Which is the hard way, meaning you just missed it?
Like, not just missed it, but missed it. But like I'm sitting there staring at a guy doing something really great, and the camera's in my lap.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta concentrate here. I gotta do this right. And I learned how to anticipate when to shoot, how to predict when things were going to happen, and be able to get all the technical stuff out of the way so that all I was concerned with was getting the picture. Mm-hmm. And I did that for like 4 years.
Just Bulls games?
Well, my father got tired of it.
Uh-huh.
He wasn't making any money doing it. I mean, they didn't pay very well. So he just quit, but I kept the card, and I kept on going to the games. I met all these other photographers, and they would say to me, like, hey, we only see you at Bulls games. You want to come to some Bears games? We could get you a pass. And all of a sudden, I'm on the sideline taking pictures of Walter Payton.
Unbelievable.
And then some guy said, well, you know, you want to come to Wrigley Field and shoot a Cubs game? And all of a sudden, I'm in the dugout with the Cubs. And there was one guy that was really into tennis. And he said, you know, when I shoot a tennis tournament, I can get you a pass. Just come with me. So all of a sudden, I'm shooting Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe, Bjorn Borg.
Legends.
Billie Jean King, Chris Evert. You know, the list is endless.
So are you shooting these photos for somebody particular or just for yourself at this
just
point?
doing it to learn photography.
Unbelievable. So this is your college right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is something that nobody could do in today's world.
No.
Because you need to have a letter from God to be able to get access to shoot an event these days. But in those days, you just, you know, it's called BS.
Yeah.
You just walked in the door and told them you belong there, and they believed you, and you did it. But I always loved music. I was always into music. And this is an ironic story that you're going to appreciate. So one day I was shooting a tennis tournament in Evanston on the Northwestern campus. And I parked across the street. There's a parking lot next to a big old Gothic-looking building. Parked my car, went and shot the tennis tournament. And there were no lights out there. It was, you know, like, so it had to end before it got dark.
Sure.
So it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock. The tennis match is over. I go back to my car, put stuff in the trunk. I get in the car and start the engine, and I always had WXRT on. In those days, it was on for 2 hours a day. It was on from 6 to 8 o'clock at night. The rest of the day, it was a Polish language station.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
So I turned it on, and XRT is on. And this guy, the DJ, is describing this concert that's happening that night by this kind of unknown singer-songwriter, guitar player by the name of Bonnie Raitt.
Oh, wow.
And I'm thinking, I've kind of heard of her, because I listen to XRT all the time, and they were playing her first record. I'm going to make a note of that. Next time she comes to town, I'm going to take pictures of her. And then he says, the concert's taking place starting at 8 o'clock tonight, which was in an hour, at Con Auditorium on the campus of Northwestern University.
Ah, convenient.
Well, talk about convenient.
Yeah, serendipitous.
I was parked, the bumper of my car was touching Con Auditorium.
Wow.
That old Gothic building that I was parked next to was Con Auditorium.
That's some kismet stuff there.
You couldn't make that up.
No.
So, shut off the engine, got out, got my camera equipment out, and decided I was going to make up a lie to get into this concert. Take pictures. I had plenty of film. Why not?
Sure.
So I hang my cameras around my neck, and I walk to the backstage door, and I walk in, and there's a guy sitting at a desk. And I get ready. I had this lie made up that I was working for this new magazine called Rolling Stone Magazine. And before I could come out with my great lie, guy looks at me with all my camera equipment, and he says, "Oh, you're with the press. Go on in and do whatever you want. Just don't get on stage."
Wow.
And that was the first concert I ever shot in my life.
First concert ever, Northwestern campus.
Yeah, Bonnie Raitt. And I still have the pictures. There's some pretty good pictures there.
Yeah. So by this time, you have honed your skills a little bit.
I have honed my skills to the point where I was pretty much ready for anything, within reason, you know. And I got home, and I'm thinking, man, if it's like this all the time, this is great, because remember those 4 things with the Bulls. Number 2 was get into the game for free. If I could figure out how to get into concerts for free, my life is complete. Because I used to pay money. I used to pay $5 to go and see a concert every Friday night. If I could get the best seats in the house and get in for free, I wasn't even thinking about how to make a living doing it. That was, out of the question. Then I found out that it was never that easy again. But there was this little venue right around the corner from my house. It's now a Binny's liquor store. It was called the Ivanhoe Theater. It's on the corner of Clark and Wellington.
Oh, is that where the Magic was?
The what?
Magic? Like Magic Cat, or like a magician's?
It was an old castle.
Yeah.
It might have been a magic castle, but when I was living there, it was the Ivanhoe Theater.
Okay, maybe I'm confusing.
And there was this company that I'd never heard of called Jam Productions, and they used to book shows there, and they booked pretty big bands. I mean, in 1 month, once I saw Kenny Rogers, I saw Dolly Parton, I saw Cheech and Chong. And so
that's the place you would go to every Friday?
Well, no, I'd never been there.
Oh, okay, gotcha, sorry.
I would go to bigger concerts, like at the Auditorium Theater.
Sure.
So I walked over there one day, and I looked around, and there was a backstage door. So I just knocked on the door, and this guy answered the door, and I said, "Hey, I'm a photographer. I'd like to come in and shoot some pictures." And he's still one of my best friends to this day. His name is Scott Gelman. He used to work for Jam Productions. He's now an independent promoter that promotes shows all over the Midwest. And but he was the security guy at the back door. And he must have taken pity on me because we're both short. And he said, "Yeah, go in and do whatever you want." So I went in and took some pictures. Don't even know who the band was. Couldn't tell you. It saved my life. And And I went back the next day. And overnight, I developed the film and I made some prints and I gave them to him. And he's very appreciative. Like, that's really nice of you. Mm-hmm. And I did that like 3 or 4 times. And about the 4th time I went over there, he calls a guy over who, on the other side of the room, no idea who the guy was. And he says, "Hey, John, come on over here. I want to talk to you." His name is John Whitecamp. And he was the manager of the Ivanhoe Theater. And he said, "Hey, this guy's really good. He's a really good photographer. We should make him our staff photographer here."
Wow.
And Whitecamp says, "Sure, no problem." So he walks away, goes back to the office, and comes back with a badge that you pin on. It's like a campaign badge.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
That said Ivanhoe Theater staff with a number on it. And he said, "Here, now you can come in the front door."
Wow, that's a great story.
So all of a sudden, I'm going there every night, shooting anybody that played there. Didn't matter what kind of music it was. I was just like building up a collection. Mm-hmm. And about a month later, I'm back there talking to Scotty by the dressing rooms, and there's this guy standing next to him. And he turns to the guy and he says, points to me and says, "He should be shooting all of our concerts. He's really good." The guy looked at me. He says, "What's your name?" And I told him. And he says, "Well, my name is Jerry Michelson. I own Jam Productions," which I had no idea who he was.
Sure, yeah.
So he said, "Well,
He still does to this day.
Still does to this day." So I said, "Well, he says, if you give me pictures that I could just have an archive of, I'll let you into all of our shows. Big and small, whatever venue," which included everything from the Chicago Stadium and Soldier Field all the way down to the Ivanhoe Theater.
Wow.
Park West when it opened, the Metro, the Vic, the Riviera, the Aragon.
Golden ticket.
Yeah, it was the ultimate ticket, which I had no idea at the time is something that nobody ever gets.
What year was this about?
78, maybe? Okay. Mm-hmm. 77, 78. It was the Uptown.
Yeah, Uptown was still open at that point.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, one day I'm going to the Chicago Stadium and shooting somebody. Like, hey, Queen's playing the Chicago Stadium. I'm going to go and shoot. Or the Bee Gees, or, whatever. And I was amassing this huge collection of work, still having no idea how to earn a living doing it. Mm-hmm. So one day I'm at Park West shooting a show. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking to somebody in the lobby before the show, and she was a lawyer from Detroit that I knew that was in town for something. And she says, "Hey, I got to introduce you to somebody." And she introduces me to a guy. His name is Charlie Oranger. And he was the art director for this magazine called Cream Magazine, mm-hmm. which was my ultimate dream. Wasn't to work for Rolling Stone. It's to work for Cream. So Cream was the real rock and roll magazine. So I said to Charlie, "So how do I get my pictures in your magazine?"
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, call me on the 15th of the month, and I'll give you a list of everybody we're doing articles about. And just submit photos. And if we like them, we'll use them.
That simple.
And we'll pay you." Mm-hmm. So I called him the 15th of the next month, and he gave me a list, and I had one guy on the list who ironically just passed away about 2 weeks ago. A guy named Rick Derringer. He had a song called Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo.
Yeah.
And so I sent him a bunch of pictures, not expecting anything. And about a week later, I get a magazine in the mail. And I got a full-page color picture in Cream Magazine.
Holy shit. And
I'm thinking to myself, this is going to work. I'm going to be a millionaire. This is incredible. I figured out how to earn a living doing this. And a week later, I got a check for $35.
Not quite the millionaire.
Not quite the millionaire status that I was looking for. So I figured I got to sell a ton of pictures to be able to earn a living. So I went to 7-Eleven and I bought one each of every magazine on the newsstand that had anything to do with music. And I brought them all home. And every week on Monday morning, I got up and I started calling the art director for that magazine. Picked one off the top of the pile. There was Circus Magazine, Hit Parader. There were a bunch of teen magazines like 16 Magazine and Teen Beat. Because I was shooting everybody. I was shooting Sean Cassidy and then some heavy metal band the next night. So they all had the same submission policy. So every month I'm submitting pictures to 10 different magazines. And I'm getting 2 or 3 in each magazine.
Not bad.
And still not making enough to pay for rent.
What were you doing for work at this time?
I was working in a photo lab called Gamma Photo.
Oh, that worked out nicely for you then. With
because I got all my film processed for free.
Smart man. Okay.
Don't say that. No, you can say that. I don't care.
They're gone now.
They're all gone. They're all gone. But I also got to meet a bunch of publicists, New York and LA and Nashville, who I'd shoot their bands and I'd get them into a magazine. And I'd send them a copy and say, hey, this is what I do. You should give me access to your bands.
Yeah.
And I met a woman, not met her, but I talked to her on the phone. She's a publicist for a couple bands. She worked for Columbia Records. And one of her acts was this kind of new guy. Had 2 albums out. His name was Bruce Springsteen. But she had a bunch of other acts too.
Sure.
And she called me up one day and she said, listen, I just recommended you to Rolling Stone. They're doing an article about one of our acts. It's a girl named Rachel Sweet, who you probably never heard of. But she was like the Britney Spears of 1978.
Okay.
17-year-old girl from Akron, Ohio. Really cute. Good singer. And she was playing at a club in the suburbs. So Rolling Stone called me and said, you got to go and shoot the show. We'll pay you $125. Okay, I get in Rolling Stone. It's great. So I did that, and I started working for them pretty regularly. And then Marilyn started getting me access to all of her bands, including Bruce Springsteen, who got kind of big.
Yeah, I would say a little bit.
So we keep on moving forward through my career. And I'm meeting publicists from Warner Brothers and from Polygram and all the different record companies. And June of 1984, I get a phone call from a publicist from Warner Brothers. And she said, are you interested in going up to Minneapolis day after tomorrow and shooting Prince's birthday party? It's at First Avenue, the club that Purple Rain was filmed in. It was the week before the movie Purple Rain came out. The week before the record came out. And she said, he's going to perform for an hour with the band from the movie. And they're going to wear all the costumes from the movie. So I figured if she's calling me, she's probably calling 100 photographers.
Sure, yeah.
There's going to be this rugby scrum in front of the stage. And it's going to be a nightmare. I'm going to have to fight my way through this crowd. And I'm probably the shortest guy out of all of them. But I figured in those days there was an airline called Midwest Airlines.
Yeah, I remember.
Not Midway, Midwest.
Oh, Midwest. Okay.
Midwest. And they flew every hour to Minneapolis. Round trip, $100. So I figured maybe I could make $100 back if I go up there. So I get up there, I take a cab to the club. I go up to the front door, and there's a guy sitting there with a list. And I said, well, I'm on the photographer's list. And he starts looking through. It's a private party.
Sure, yeah.
It's pages and pages of this list of all the guests. And he comes to the last page, and it says, at the top of the page, it says, photographer, singular. And my name is under that.
Wow.
And I'm the only photographer allowed in the building that night.
That's incredible.
So I have no idea to this day why that happened. I'm not complaining about it, but it's just a total miracle. So I walk to the front of the stage, and I just sit down on the floor with a book, and I wait for him to come up on stage. Because I wasn't shooting the party.
Right.
You know, I was shooting the concert. Comes up on stage, and he's like 4 feet away from me. And I obviously belong there. I have my cameras. I'm right in front of him. So he starts posing for me during the show. And there's a photo right behind me on the wall from that day. So I shot like 20 rolls of film.
Yeah, I bet.
I just kept on shooting. I got home the next day. Took the film to the lab, got it all processed. Sent it out to a bunch of magazines. And one of the magazines I sent it to was Rolling Stone. And the next day I get a call, FedExed them a bunch of pictures. Next day I get a call from them. And they said, you know, we love these pictures. We're going to run one like half page in the magazine. But your friend Marilyn was in and she saw your pictures of Prince and she wants you to give her a call. So I called Marilyn and she said, saw your pictures of Prince. Can you come back up to Minneapolis next week and shoot the opening date of the Born in the USA tour for Springsteen?
Wow.
And come up a day early because Bruce is going to be shooting his first video ever. And you get total access to it.
Unbelievable.
And that was for Dancing in the Dark,
Uh-huh.
where he drags Courtney Cox up on
Cox,
stage.
yeah, she's in that video, yeah.
So
that was in Minneapolis, huh?
it was in St. Paul, actually.
St. Paul, okay, well.
St. Paul Civic Center. So I ended up staying up there. I shot stills during the video. Brian De Palma was the director.
Yeah, he's done a few things too.
Yeah. So I got pictures of him directing the cameraman with Springsteen and, you know, the whole deal. And I shot for 8 hours in this empty arena.
Wow.
Just Bruce and the band on stage playing and him over and over again dragging Courtney Cox up on the stage and them dancing together. And then I shot the first 3 shows of the tour in the St. Paul Civic Center. And came back to Chicago, sent some pictures to Rolling Stone, and they ended up running, it was one full page. There was a half page of Prince and a half page of Springsteen.
Holy cow.
And then they called me up the next day and they said, you know, we really like your work. Can you go down to Kansas City next week and shoot the opening 2 days of the Jacksons Victory Tour?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can. No problem. Which at that point was the biggest rock tour in history. It was at Arrowhead Stadium.
Would you
Completely
say
sold out.
equivalent to like what Taylor Swift is now when she goes on tour?
Yeah.
Like to that level of
yeah.
thievery?
Oh, yeah. So I shot 2 nights there. Came back. Rolling Stone used a bunch of pictures. Those pictures from those 3 shows, number one, went everywhere. But they also cemented my legitimacy, I think is the right word.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden people were calling me, begging me to shoot their bands. And I shot every one of them. To where now I could show you on my computer the list of bands that I photographed as of today. Just went over the 4,500 mark.
Since the early or late 70s.
Since the late 70s.
That's
bands
a lot
and,
of music.
Bands and celebrities. So a year after that, this is an integral part of the story. I get a call from Newsweek. And Bruce had graduated from playing hockey arenas to playing football stadiums.
Which is a big jump, yeah.
And Newsweek was doing a big article about him, about making that jump. And Marilyn had told him that I had some really good pictures. So Sent him a bunch of pictures. And a week later, I had the cover of Newsweek. And this is a year after I shot the pictures. Mm-hmm. And this is the biggest thing that ever happened to me. Like, Newsweek and Time are like the pinnacle.
Especially back then, yeah.
Well, not anymore, but
right.
They, back then they were. So at that point, my next door neighbor was the music critic of the Sun-Times, Chicago Sun-Times. And I saw him on the back porch one day, and I told him about the cover of Newsweek, and he said, well, I got to do an article for the Sun-Times about you taking pictures that are on the cover of Newsweek. Mm-hmm. So he came over and interviewed me, and they ran like this little article. It's like a paragraph. And they sent a photographer, and they took a picture of me holding up Newsweek. Mm-hmm. And appeared in the paper. And that day I get a call from this talk show in Chicago that I'd never heard of. It was called AM Chicago. Mm-hmm. It's on Channel 7, 9 o'clock in the morning. Live talk show. The host was this woman by the name of Oprah Winfrey. No idea who any of that. No, I don't watch TV at 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't know anything about this stuff. And they wanted me to do they were doing a show called Brushes with Bruce. Because it was the morning of the day that he played at Soldier Field.
Okay.
So, I'll do anything for laughs. So I went down there and they put a microphone on me and we sat there and it's like 5 of us on the panel. And I don't think I said a word the whole hour. They had one of the people on the panel was the woman who had washed Bruce's dishes when he played at the Rosemont Horizon. Mm-hmm. Allstate Arena, whatever it's called now. And so I got up at the end of the hour and I took off my microphone and put it on a chair. I got up to leave and I'm walking out the door and this woman comes up to me and hands me a business card and says, our show is going national in September. This is in August of 85. Mm-hmm. Show's going national in September. We're looking for a photographer. Do you know anybody? And she said, I know you wouldn't be interested in it, but you might know somebody that might be interested. And I thought to myself, at that point, Phil Donahue was the only game in town, the only game in America. Mm-hmm. She's going to compete with Phil Donahue. She's going to have celebrities on the show. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go for this. So I called her up and I said, I'd like to apply for the job, so to speak. And I went down and talked to the people and we agreed that I would be the official photographer of the Oprah Winfrey Show.
Unbelievable.
Which I did for 5 years. And Oprah went from here to here during those 5 years. And all of a sudden I'm riding around in a private jet with her. And we're going to fancy restaurants. And we're interviewing Elizabeth Taylor. And we're interviewing Jimmy Carter.
Unbelievable.
And it's like, it's a gift that keeps on giving. So in the middle of that Oprah experience, my next door neighbor who had interviewed me for the Sun-Times calls me up one night and he says, this is going to sound really weird, but I'm going to New York tomorrow to interview Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones. And the Sun-Times is too cheap to send a photographer. So if you buy your own plane ticket, you could sleep on the floor in my hotel room and you could sell pictures to the Sun-Times. And Keith is really my only idol. Mm-hmm. Springsteen kind of is too, but Keith is the real deal.
Yeah.
So I went to New York the next day, brought all my stuff. We went to his office, his manager's office, and I did a photo shoot, which includes that picture.
Yeah, I think I want to show that because you mentioned the Bruce photo. There's a Bruce photo right there on the wall.
Right.
Then I'm going to stand up and show that. And also there's the Keith Richards one as well. Go on. You can keep talking.
So I did a photo shoot with him. And as I was packing up my stuff, Don was interviewing him at the other side of the room, and I heard Don ask him one of the questions that you have to ask is, like, are you going to go out on tour with your solo band? Mm-hmm. Not with the Rolling Stones, but, with the solo band. And Keith said, yeah, we're going out on tour between Thanksgiving and Christmas. This was 88. Mm-hmm. His band was called the Expensive Winos because they used to rehearse in his basement in Connecticut, and they would go to his wine cellar and take out these really expensive bottles of wine and open them up and pass them around and drink out of the bottle. So I filed that away in my brain, and I went home. Sometimes bought a bunch of pictures. And when I made prints for them, I made an extra set. And I put it in an envelope and dropped it in the mail to Keith's manager with a note that said, hey, I heard you guys are going out on the road. If you need a photographer, give me a call. Never expecting anything to happen. Just threw it in the mailbox on the corner.
Sure.
Went home, ate breakfast, read the paper, on with my life. 1988, Thanksgiving Eve, I get a phone call from Keith's manager. And she says, so what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, well, I was planning to go to my parents' house for Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. She says, no, not going to happen. Get up in the morning, pack up all your stuff, fly to Atlanta, you're our tour photographer. Come to the Ritz-Carlton and call my room when you get there.
Unbelievable.
So I go down to Atlanta, get in a cab, go to the Ritz-Carlton, I call her room. She gives me a key to the tour bus and says, put your luggage on the tour bus and wait down in the lobby. We're going to be ready in an hour. We're going to the gig. And I went on the road with Keith for a month and got to be friends with him and, coolest thing in the world to be friends with Keith Richards.
Yeah.
So I get home around Christmas, and the way my house is set up, there's the mail slot drops the mail into my house. Mm-hmm. So if I'm gone for a period of time, it's not sticking out of the mailbox. Yep. So I pick up all my mail, and among all the mail was the first issue of Rolling Stone for 1989. January issue. So I read that first before I open up all the bills, because I don't want to see bills at that point.
Sure.
And there's a little piece in Random Notes that says the Rolling Stones are getting back together and they're going to do a huge tour starting in September, which is still 9 months away. Mm-hmm. So when I had to send up all my wrap-up pictures to Keith's manager. And I wrote her the same note. Hey, if you need a tour photographer for the Stones tour, give me a call. Once again, never expecting anything to happen. So life goes on, and all of a sudden, I'm seeing all these news reports that the Stones are starting their tour in Philadelphia. And nobody called me. I'm like, okay, I tried.
Yeah.
Doing the Keith tour was coolest thing that ever happened to me. Mm-hmm. Doesn't get much better than that. My life is complete. And I started seeing news reports about, they're playing in Los Angeles or I can't remember where. It wasn't Los Angeles, but they're playing all over the Midwest. And, I'm not there. Then about a month into that tour, which was called the Steel Wheels Tour, 1989, my phone rings one night and it's Keith's manager. And she says, so what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, well, I'm taking a wild guess and thinking you probably want me to meet you somewhere. And she said, yeah, get up in the morning, pack up your stuff, fly to Boston, come to the Ritz-Carlton, call me when you get here.
This is crazy.
You're the tour photographer for the Rolling Stones. And I did it. And I gave my luggage to a guy. There's a guy on tour that all he does is handles the luggage. Mm-hmm. And he puts luggage tags on it with my code number on it. Mm-hmm. And she says, meet in the lobby. We're going to the gig in an hour. And the elevators open up in the lobby, and the Rolling Stones get out of the elevator.
Unbelievable.
And I know Keith, but I've never met anybody else in the band.
Sure.
And we all get in a van, and a number of vans. And everybody in the van is looking at me like, who's this little short guy with the camera bag?
Do they have somebody prior to you? Or
They had somebody prior to me, but they didn't like him. They didn't get along with him.
Got it.
So she told me that I was going to do a month with them. So we're in Boston. We go out to Foxborough where the Patriots play.
Yeah.
Played. I don't know if they still play there.
No, it's a new place, but
Yeah.
it's the same area, yeah.
So I get up in the morning in Chicago. I fly to Boston. I'm standing on stage at a Rolling Stones concert in Boston in front of 80,000 people. The show ends. We get in a van. We drive to Logan Airport, get on a private jet, and fly to Birmingham, Alabama. That's one day. And so I'm starting to learn the protocol of how you do this stuff because I've never done anything that big in my life.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own private seat on the plane, you know, like you can't sit in somebody's seat.
Sure.
So I just stood there until everybody else got on the plane to see if there were any empty seats anywhere. And so we're going along. We played 4 nights at Shea Stadium in New York. And then it gets toward the end of my month, and I'm thinking, boy, that was really great. And I get a call from Keith's manager, and she says, can you come up to my room? And I go up to her room, and she's standing there with Mick's manager and with the publicist for the tour. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, it's like being called to the principal's office times 3.
Uh-huh.
So I'm trying to think of what I did wrong. Like why...
Yeah, why am I getting called in?
Why am I getting called into the principal's office? And Keith's manager says to me, you know, we have a problem here. And I said, what? And she says, well, we told you we only wanted you to do a month on the tour, but everybody in the band really likes you and they don't want you to leave. So can you do the rest of the tour? Which is another 2.5 months. Mm-hmm. And I did 3.5 months on the road with the Rolling Stones.
Unbelievable.
And I met, over the course of that time, when we were in L.A., I was hanging out with Jack Nicholson, with Meryl Streep. We were in Miami. I was hanging out with Don Johnson.
Who are you? Come on.
When we were in Kansas City, for some reason, I was hanging out with Paul Newman.
Oh, my God.
Like, everywhere we went, there was somebody really famous.
Well, yeah,
and then
there were the Stones, you know.
There was the musicians that would hang out. Like, at one night in L.A., I found myself, I'm playing pool backstage with, it was me and Keith against David Bowie and Eric Clapton.
Unfucking believable. Who won?
They did. Keith's a really lousy pool player. I had to cover for him a lot. So I figured, okay, you know, that's it. I'm done. And, you know, it's over. So in 94, they started another tour, and I did a month with them, which was, now it's like old hat, you know. And then in 97, they started in Chicago. And they rehearsed at Soldier Field for 3 days.
Wow.
And so I'm shooting the Stones for 3 nights in a totally empty football stadium where I could walk around on stage. I could do anything I wanted. Mm-hmm. And then the day before the tour started, they played the Double Door.
Unbelievable. I've heard that story.
So they called me up in the morning and said, meet us at the Double Door, sound checks at 4 o'clock. And I made this executive decision that moment that I didn't want to meet them there. I wanted to pull up in a van with the Rolling Stones and get out of the van with the Rolling Stones.
Fuck yeah, you do.
So I drove down to the Ritz-Carlton and I parked my car, which cost me like $100 to park for the night. Worth every penny of it. And I got in a van with Keith, and we got out on the corner of Milwaukee and Damon, or right near the corner, and the police had blocked off the street. I mean, it was like a major craziness. And we walked out arm in arm. He had his arm around my shoulder, and we walked right past all the TV cameras that were all out on the sidewalk and walked into the club. And I earned my respect from the Chicago music community forever from that move.
Yeah, if you didn't have it by then, which
I kind of had it, but not really.
You just flexed a little muscle.
Yeah. Well, it was just kind of like, it was something I had to do.
Do you have a photo of you of that moment?
No.
Nobody took a photo for you?
I'm sure somebody did, but I don't.
You don't have it?
I don't have it.
Oh, man.
I don't have it. So, so I did the first like week and a half of that tour, and like I was kind of tired of touring. In between them, that I did another Keith Richards tour in '93, and then I did this thing in '97. I shot a couple of cities, and I got what I needed from them. And you know, now they call me whenever they come to town, and I shoot the shows here. And I don't really travel with them anymore.
Well, you're not doing as much as you did before in general, right?
If they wanted me to, I would do it.
Yeah.
But they figured out that it was costing them a lot of money. They weren't paying me. Like I was doing it to own the photos.
Oh.
But it's really expensive back in the days of film. It was like $300 a night in film and processing, plus the hotel room every night, and you know the airfare to and from the tour, and
you had to pay for all that? Or
no, they paid for it all.
Gotcha.
But they were getting the same pictures every night, so there's really no sense in shooting every night. They just need somebody if somebody famous is going to show up.
Got it.
So yeah, it was that was a pretty good run.
Yeah, it sounds like you've had a lot of interesting kismet things. And you mentioned when you were talking early days with your dad telling you the four things. And you mentioned about how you had to learn on the run or learn in real time. You had to anticipate for that moment.
Right.
That moment to snap the photo. It sounded not only that you learned how to do that for your profession in capturing the beautiful images that we're surrounded by in your house here and in your career and in your book, but you also had to, at some point, anticipate the moment where you needed to say yes to something that changed the course of your life forever.
Or to say no to something.
Yeah, sure. But it seems like the Prince Ask was a pivotal moment in your career.
Oh, absolutely.
Where you said, I guess I'll go.
It was
almost,
the
right?
pivotal moment.
That changed your career forever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's unbelievable. Do you recognize that moment as
absolutely.
that for you?
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
That whole month. Prince's birthday is June 7th. And it was from June 7th to like July 3rd. July 3rd was the Jacksons in Kansas City. Springsteen was in the middle between those two. And shooting all that stuff in 1 month.
I mean,
you know,
that what you just told me is a far, in all due respect, but a far more interesting and compelling story than the movie Almost Famous.
I think so.
Yeah, like, because there's so much more. It's not just about one band. It's about,
right.
I mean, and you have these pictures to remind you of those moments that were that are looking at us as we're looking at them, especially the Prince one kind of behind you as a story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not only that, but you have rows and rows of photos in your other office that we were in earlier that's just full of filing cabinets of your entire career, not to mention what is to your left in that drawer right there of negatives. Like, there's people who don't know what negatives are. They don't know what that means.
That's a foreign language.
I mean, you look back now and, you know, you have shaped culture, you know, music culture.
Well, I look at it as documenting an art form.
Absolutely. And you did it with many magazines.
Yeah.
That's incredible to me.
But there is a downside to everything.
What's the downside?
So when I did that photo shoot in Keith's manager's office, I shoot really fast. Mm-hmm. I know what I'm looking for. I get it all set up and boom, 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 done. And shot 3 rolls of film, put them in my bag, packed up everything, went home, developed the film. I picked like 4 shots from the shoot and printed them for the Sun-Times and sent them to Keith's manager. Mm-hmm. And put everything in the file and done with it. And about a year after that happened, somebody came over. People come over to my house all the time and say, hey, can I look through your pictures of so-and-so? Mm-hmm. And somebody came over and said, oh, man, can I look through your pictures of Keith Richards? And pulled out the proof sheets, and he looks at them and he says, and I circle, there's this thing called a grease pencil.
Yeah.
I circle the ones that I'm going to print on the contact prints. And he said, why didn't you print the one where he's giving you the finger? And I said, what are you talking about? And he says, look, he's giving you the finger in the shot. And it was in my file cabinet for a year without me noticing that he was giving me the finger.
You didn't even know that he did that.
No, because I'm looking at his face. I'm not looking down here.
Unbelievable.
And that's one of my biggest selling photographs.
Where's that been that people would know?
Well, I mostly sell prints.
Okay.
I have a gallery that represents me called Morrison Hotel Gallery.
Yep, I've heard of that.
And like most of these shots are on their website for sale.
But also you've magazines, news, not just the Sun-Times.
Not many people have printed that in magazines because he's given the finger.
But in general, your collection of your work, the body of your work, has been in magazines that are still here, that are now some gone, and same thing with newspapers as well, right? All over the world, not just Chicago.
Well, I'm represented by Getty Images.
Yeah, and they're kind of a big deal too.
They're kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
like I get sales reports every month, and they license. I shouldn't say sell, because they're not selling the photograph. They're licensing one-time rights to it. On average, 400 to 500 of my images every month. And
so I guess you're making a living now.
I'm making a living off of this, but not from taking pictures. I'm making a living off the old pictures, which is great, except it's really boring.
What do you mean boring?
Well, I got nothing to do at night. I'm home watching TV.
So you would still, if it were up to you, you'd still be going to
If it was up to me, I'd be going out and shooting 7 nights a week. Absolutely.
But because of the way the industry's changed, you don't need to do that anymore because the demand's not
Well, that's what I was getting at with the
not so great part of it.
The not so great part.
Well, go ahead.
So, in the middle 80s, bands started restricting photographers. And there are a lot of theories about why it happened. And I know 2 of them. They both revolve around Bruce Springsteen.
Oh.
Or one of them does, actually. One of them is MTV came along. And everybody looked perfect in all their videos. So they didn't want to look sweaty in pictures.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that makes them human.
Well, so they started, the first rule that came along was you could only shoot the first 3 songs.
Is that where that came from?
And then you have to leave. You have to leave the building. You can't even go to your seat. You got to.
I mean, that's standard now, but I didn't know that's why.
Standard. That's why. It's one reason why.
Okay.
The other reason, and I've heard this from many people, and I kind of know this is true. When Springsteen he went from playing clubs to playing hockey arenas, basketball arenas. He was playing in Madison Square Garden, and he did a show that had an intermission in the middle of it. And he comes out for the first set, and there were 50 photographers in front of the stage. And in New York, at least half the photographers that shoot concerts are not really photographers. They're paparazzi guys.
Oh.
They can't shoot without a flash because they don't know how to take a light reading and get something to look right. So Bruce is up there singing, and the flashes are going off like crazy, and he can't concentrate on his music. Comes off the stage at intermission, and he goes up to his road manager, and he says, we got to do something about this. There were 2 things they could have done. It was like there was the fork in the road. One of them would have been really bad. One of them would have been really good. They picked the wrong one.
Oh, no.
One, you could kick everybody out after 3 songs and ruin it for everybody. Or 2, you could say, hey, guess what? You can shoot whatever you want, but you can't use a flash.
Yeah.
It's what I would have picked. But I'm not in charge. So they picked the one where first 3 songs and you got to leave. And that's the most boring part of the show.
Right. That's just the beginning. There's no
They're
energy,
just warming
there's no
up.
nothing.
They're
Yeah.
just warming up. So those are the two theories of why this has happened. So in the middle 80s, all of a sudden, it started out being like every couple of weeks there would be a band that would say you could only shoot the first 3 songs. It's now pretty much everybody. Start to finish. No matter where they're playing. They could be playing at the Vic Theater and you can only shoot the first 3 songs.
Unless maybe you're the staff.
Unless
the
you
band photographer.
Unless you have the clout to be able to say to them, if you want me to shoot your band, you got to let me shoot the whole show.
Have you had to do that?
That's all I do now.
Good for
I
you.
won't go out unless I can shoot the whole show, which means that rather than shooting 7 concerts a week, I'm shooting maybe 1 a month.
Wow.
Because almost everybody says, well, forget it. We don't want you to shoot.
Even though your resume speaks for
They
you
don't
toured
care.
with the Stones, for Pete's sake.
They don't care.
That kind of speaks to where we are in the world right now with a lot.
So that's rule number 1. Then rule number 2, some old artist figured out that photographers were getting too close to them. So they said, well, make everybody shoot from the back of the arena.
What? What do you mean too close? Like literally too close? 'Cause
Yeah, you
what,
can
you're
see
showing
the
their
wrinkles.
flaws?
You can
Oh
see
my
their
God.
flaws.
Was it like
So all of a sudden, you can only shoot 3 songs, and you got to shoot from the soundboard. Now, there are so many reasons why that doesn't work. One of them being, you have to bring a lens that, if you don't own it, it costs $100 a day to rent. It's like this big.
yeah?
Got to bring a tripod. It's a major project, and you end up with mediocre pictures at best from back there.
Yeah.
So that's rule number 2. And then rule number 3, and this is the worst one. If you thought those were bad, this is the worst one. Almost every major band on the road today has a contract that you have to sign before you are allowed to photograph them. And the contract says, the first part of the contract says that you can only shoot 3 songs. You got to shoot from the back of the hall. And you can only sell your pictures or license your pictures to 1 publication.
How do they expect people to make a living doing
Well,
this?
they don't care. Now, most publications today, if they pay $20 for a picture, it's a miracle.
Really?
So if you do the math, and I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I think I'm pretty smart. If you pay $100 to rent a lens, if you pay $50 to park, and the most you could expect to make out of that is $20, what is the point of going and shooting?
Nothing. Yeah, it's just...
But then becomes the worst part of that contract. The last paragraph of every contract states that after you sell your 1 picture to the 1 publication, the copyright to all your photographs reverts to the band.
What?
And they own all your pictures. And you don't have any rights to them whatsoever for the rest of time.
Yeah, you wouldn't sign that if you knew what you were doing.
Well, why would anybody sign it?
yeah.
But if you go to a concert these days and you go and look in the front row, there will be 10 photographers there who have all signed that. For one of 2 reasons. Either they're going to ignore it and just break the contract anyway, or they're only there because they want to see the band for free.
Which I'm sure you've run into that fair amount over the years.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've gone from shooting this much to shooting this much.
So not by choice.
Not by choice at all.
So you would still be out there 7 days a week.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But thank God you came to be who you are in the time that you did, so that the photographs that you at least took all those years ago, up until all this digital stuff became digital, is supporting your life.
It isn't even about digital. It's about, like social media
Yeah.
and the whole idea of image. Like protecting their image.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not worth doing anymore.
That's too bad. And
If somebody wants me to do it, if a band wants me to shoot them, or a manager, and they'll conform to my rules,
mm-hmm.
I'll be the first guy out the door with my camera bag heading to the show. And they'll get great pictures, hopefully.
Yeah. Do you still do only, I mean, in this time that you've been doing all this, were you pretty much doing celebrities and concerts, or were you doing other things too? Like
It's all I've ever done. I
that what
do a
you're
lot
still
of
doing?
portraits. I shoot a lot of album covers.
Yeah, you've done one for Ozzy, right?
Well, that picture of Ozzy and Randy was an album cover.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over there as you go ahead. You can keep talking. I'm gonna keep.
I work a lot with a record label you might have heard of called Alligator Records.
Yeah, Chicago based.
Yeah, and I've shot maybe 100 album covers for them, maybe 50. 100 pictures on album covers. 50 on the front, 50 more like on the back. I shot John Mayer's first album cover back in the day. I shoot a lot of blues bands and a lot of gospel.
You love blues music, right?
I love blues.
Yeah,
I've
That's
shot
Alligator Records and
like 4 Buddy Guy album covers. Shot the cover of his book, his autobiography. And I'll do that. You call me and I'm there.
Is there a band or an artist that sticks out in your mind outside of the stories that you've told about Keith and the Stones and Bonnie Raitt and all that stuff? Is there something that stands out in your mind? Where like, man, that was just fun. I didn't expect that, or that was just a night I'll never forget.
Well, the best example of that is when I was on the Steel Wheels tour. There's a guy that played keyboards for the Stones. His name's Chuck Leavell.
Yeah.
He's also in the Allman Brothers, and he played on Eric Clapton's Unplugged MTV show. And really nice guy. He's from Georgia. He's a Christmas tree farmer when he's not out on the road. And he and I used to sit together on the plane every night. Mm-hmm. This was 1989, like toward the end of the year. And we'd always talk about music because we both love soul music and Southern rock and roll, stuff like that. And one day he said, there's this band that I just played on the record. It's coming out in January. When they come to Chicago, you should really go and hang out with those guys. They're really great, and you love photographing them. They're called the Black Crows. So I read the Reader every Friday or Thursday whenever it comes out, and I look in the music section, and there's an ad for a show at the Metro. Mm-hmm. And the Black Crows are the opening act. It was in April of 1990. So I remember what Chuck had said, and I called their publicist, and I said, hey, I want to do a photo shoot with this new band. And the publicist said, yeah, no problem. Set it up, and just go to sound check. And as soon as sound check's over, take them out wherever you want to take them. Take them out on the street or, shoot whatever you want. So I have a friend who I used to call him the world's largest human being. He played offensive right tackle for the Chicago Bears in the Super Bowl season. Mm-hmm. His name's Keith Van Horn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, large human.
And he's a big music fan. So I called Keith and I said, hey, I'm going to shoot this band at Metro on Sunday night. You should come over to my house and we'll jump in my car and we'll go over there. We ended up having to take his car because he's too big to fit in my car. So we go over there and we walk in the dressing room and the band's sitting there and they're all these little skinny Southern guys. Mm-hmm. And I walk in with Van Horn. And to this day, this is 1990. Mm-hmm. This is 35 years ago. Mm-hmm. To this day, every time we're around the band, somebody in the band will tell the story about how I showed up with the world's largest assistant. So I took them outside behind the Metro, and I did a photo shoot with them, which is still sell those pictures today, even though there's only 2 guys that are still in the band.
Mm-hmm.
And became friends with them. And Keith became friends with them. And every time they would come to town, I'd do another photo shoot, and we'd hang out. And the best part of the whole night is telling stories backstage before the show.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have told them many times that when they get up on stage, it's time for me to go home, because there's no way their show could be as good as the conversation we just had.
Sure.
And we have the relationship has changed to the point where I don't even have to call to ask them if I could come and shoot. I'll get a call in the morning from Chris Robinson, who will say something to the effect of, "So what time are you getting to the show tonight?" And, I have to go because, he's expecting me. And, Of course, I would go anyway. But I don't even have to ask. I'm part of their family.
That's great.
So they're my favorite band to photograph.
Well, thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
Do you have a spot? I know you've been all over the world. Is there a spot that you look forward to photographing, like a venue, or maybe a venue that's not always a venue, but for special occasions it becomes a venue, when that sticks out in your mind?
Well, I love the Aragon.
Oh, okay.
Aragon's a great place.
Yeah.
It's a true rock and roll palace. I love the Riviera for personal reasons, because during the pandemic, Jerry bought 50 pictures from me and framed them and hung them up. Like every public area of the Riviera inside has got my pictures hanging on the wall. It's like a museum to me.
Oh, that's wonderful. I did not know that.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
But it's also a great place to shoot because the stage is really low.
So you mentioned Chicago places. Anything else outside of Chicago that sticks out? Or are you a Chicago guy, man?
I'm, when I travel, a venue's a venue. I usually can't even remember what they were like once I leave.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a lot of venues.
Yeah, I would say so.
I have to tell you one more story.
Let's do it.
You're going to have to edit this in.
That's fine.
Because I forgot to tell you this. So I do a lot of work with a guy by the name of Steve Dahl.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar.
And I was with him in center field at Disco Demolition.
Were you really?
Photographing the records being blown up and all that stuff. And during that same era, this is not part of the story I'm going to tell you, but you'll appreciate this. During that same era, I have a friend who's a recording engineer,
mm-hmm.
and he recorded a song called the Super Bowl Shuffle.
Oh, yeah. I know that one.
And he called me up one day out of the blue, and he says, "You got to come over to Park West today." They were shooting a video for the Super Bowl Shuffle,
mm-hmm.
and he was the playback guy. Like, they weren't recording the sound, but he had to play it back so they could lip sync to it. So I went there and shot the Super Bowl Shuffle all day long. And that's like an annuity that will never end. Like every year in January, I sell tons of pictures of the Super Bowl Shuffle. Every year in July, I sell tons of pictures of Disco Demolition. So I got to be friends with Steve Dahl. And he had a friend who owned a recording studio downtown. Doesn't exist anymore. And so when Steve had his 20th anniversary on the air in Chicago,
mm-hmm.
he booked the Vic Theater to do a big 20th anniversary concert. And he had a band, and he would do these parody songs. And so the first part of the show was him showing a slideshow of his life,
mm-hmm.
which were mostly my pictures of him various times. And then the band came out and did a set. And so we all went over to Leona's across the street
mm-hmm.
afterwards for a party. And I'm sitting at the bar with this guy named Joe Thomas, who's owned this recording studio downtown. And Joe was the keyboard player in Steve's band.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve comes walking up behind us, and he puts one arm around each of our shoulders. And he says, I got a really great idea. We said, what? And he says, turns to Joe and he says, you just made a record with Brian Wilson, and you're getting ready to go out on the road with him. You need a road manager. Oh, the one part I didn't tell you, I produced the show for Steve at the Vic Theater.
Oh, okay.
Never done it before in my life,
Yeah,
but how hard
jack
can
of all
it be?
trades, yeah.
He says, Paul just did a really great job with this show. He should be your road manager when you go out on the road. And Joe looks at me and says, would you want to do that? And I'm a sucker for trying something new.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a joke you might have heard where two guys are walking through the jungle and they come across a lion. And one guy turns to the other one and says, we got to outrun the lion. And the other guy turns to him and says, no, I just got to outrun you. So to be the road manager for a rock tour, you just have to know one more thing than everybody else in the entourage.
Mm.
And you could be the road manager. And I'd been on the road. I knew crew guys. I knew how to find lighting guys and sound guys and all that kind of stuff. So we put a tour together, and we did about 30 dates the first year, 1999. And then we did about 60 dates the next year. And I was the road manager for all those dates. So we played in like every major venue in America, one point or another.
Mm-hmm.
You were asking about venues, but I couldn't tell you what any of them were like, because most of the time during the show I was backstage, like calling the hotel to make sure they had our rooms ready for that night when we got there. But yeah, that's my short version of my Brian Wilson story.
That's a great story. My goodness. If for folks that want to hire you, find your stuff, where's the best way and places for them to see all that?
Just Google my name and look at my website. All my information's right on the front page of the website.
That's simple. And you do everything out of here when you do stuff locally in Chicago as far as portraits for people? You do it upstairs in that spot there?
I could do it upstairs. I could go to them. I like shooting portraits on location. You know, like if it's a picturesque location, if it fits their style.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I set up a background and I do it here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking time to chat with me. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, that is the story from the 78 here in the Avondale neighborhood. TomBarneyChicago@gmail.com if you have a story from the 78 suggestion, or hit me up at the website storiesfromthe78.com. See ya.